Hi everyone, I want to make this little video to explain to you why you might be having trouble losing weight. And in one word, it has to be insulin. And I want to explain to you what insulin is, what are its effects, and how you can actually lower your insulin levels so that you can get to your weight loss goals. So the conventional wisdom is that any calorie that you eat in form of a food, you need to burn it if you don't want to store it as fat. Now this is one of the laws of thermodynamics. It is calories in must mean calories out. And when it comes to the human body, how our physiology is, that rule does not apply. Because that rule does not take into consideration the hormones that we produce as human beings. And one of these hormones is insulin. Now, you might be familiar with insulin, maybe because you're diabetic or you have somebody in your family that is diabetic and they need to inject themselves every single day with insulin so they don't die from having too high of a blood sugar level. Insulin is an anabolic hormone, which means it builds things up. And the key role of insulin is to lower your blood sugar levels. So for instance, whenever you eat something very sugary like candy or maybe a piece of bread that is 100% carbohydrates in the form of glucose, well, they will be digested as pure sugar in your stomach. The carbohydrate molecules, they will go straight into your blood as sugar. So the human body does not need to have a lot of sugar in its blood at a given time. So when you ingest that much sugar in one sitting, then your blood sugar levels can be at a dangerous height. And to counter that, our bodies have something called insulin, which is a hormone secreted by your pancreas. The main role of insulin is to go into the cell to unlock the door of the cell so that your cell can actually use the glucose you've just eaten. And by the cells consuming that glucose for energy, then your blood sugars will drop. If every cell in your body is using glucose at a single time and they don't need any more glucose, you're not doing any physical activity, but you're still ingesting a lot of carbohydrates and sugars, then that energy will be stored as fat on your body. That will be insulin's job to put that glucose, to put it into fat in your body. If you want to lose weight, then you need to reduce your insulin levels. Because if you keep your insulin levels high at every single time of the day, then you're not going to be able to use your fat as energy. Because every time you spike your insulin levels, then you get fatter because all that glucose will be stored as fat in your body tissues. And our obesity and type 2 diabetes epidemic can be explained by the fact that people are eating massive amounts of carbohydrates throughout the day, and they're eating 3 to 6 times every single day with the breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks throughout the day. And these people, they're not eating fat or protein most of the time. They're going to be eating carbohydrates, refined food, processed foods, added sugar in pretty much every single item in the grocery store. In fact, 80% of the grocery store items have added sugar because it's pretty addictive, and the companies, they know that you are more inclined to buy these products and to buy them again. So really, the way you need to think about it to lose fat, if that's your goal, is to lower your insulin levels. You need to stop eating as much carbohydrates and sugars as you're doing right now. Because every time you eat sugars and carbohydrates, you spike your blood sugars, and therefore you spike insulin. The mentality of weight loss, I think, should be you need to eat big meals, but limit these meals to 2 times a day. You don't want to eat more than twice a day. Because if you eat more than twice a day, then that means that your insulin will be spiked 3, 4, 5, 6 times a day, and that will really burn out your cells. Because your cells, they have a certain tolerance to insulin, right? Because diabetics, why they're diabetic is because their cells are rejecting that insulin that their pancreas is providing them. Because they've been so bombarded with insulin throughout their lives because they've eaten so much glucose and sugar throughout the years, then the cells cannot take any more insulin now. They've become resistant. That's called insulin resistance. And insulin resistance and metabolic syndrome is at the core of type 2 diabetes and our obesity epidemic today that we see around us. So if you want to lose weight and become healthier, get healthier, you need to firstly ignore the guidelines you've been given all your life. You need to stop thinking that fat is bad. You need to start thinking about added sugars. You need to realize how much sugar you're consuming and how much carbohydrates you're consuming and how many times throughout the day you're spiking your insulin levels. The best way, in my opinion, to lose weight and become healthier is with a ketogenic diet, which is a diet that promotes high levels of dietary fat and limits your carbohydrates to about 5% of your total calories per day. That diet will put you in a state of ketosis, which is the body's natural way of using your fat as energy, because your fat is really just stored glucose, stored energy that you can use for times when there's no food around, right? We evolved to use our own fat when there were no animals or there were no berries or it was winter time. So that's totally natural, and the state of ketosis has actually a lot of benefits that have been studied by science. So just for now, just know that the ketogenic diet can really help you lose weight. But for now, just know that the key mechanisms of a ketogenic diet is really to just lower your insulin levels so that your cells can actually heal and they can start to accept insulin now. They can stop rejecting insulin, because if you keep that up for decades or some years, then you can actually become diabetic. That's how people have type 2 diabetes. You want to increase your dietary fat consumption, you want to decrease your carbohydrate consumption, and lastly, you want to do intermittent fasting. Now, you want to slowly implement intermittent fasting in your life. I've been doing this for about 2 years now, and it's been wonderful. The thing with intermittent fasting is that at first you're going to feel really hungry because your system is not adapted to eating twice a day or once a day at certain times, right? You wake up, you immediately throw in your breakfast into your stomach and you spike your insulin levels. Then you go to lunch, you spike your insulin levels. Then at dinner, you spike your insulin levels. And not to mention the times in the day that you have snacks that also spike your insulin levels. So with intermittent fasting, you're really just gonna spike your insulin levels once or twice a day, combined with healthy keto, which is the ketogenic diet with a lot of vegetables for the fiber and the nutrients. That will really make an impact on your health, an impact on your physique, and you will feel a lot more energy throughout the day. You're gonna have more stable energy levels throughout the day, because when you eat a lot of carbohydrates, then you're spiking your blood sugars. So you have a lot of energy, right? It's quick, it's super quick energy, but your blood sugars, they need to come down, because having too high of blood sugars is really, really dangerous for your body. So your insulin does its job. You lower your blood sugar levels, but then your blood sugar levels are so low that you feel really lazy, you feel fatigued. So what you need to do, your body tells, well, I need more energy, so I'm gonna eat more carbohydrates. And that's why you can eat a big bowl of pasta, 2 slices of bread, you can eat cereal with skim milk that has no fat in it, and you will feel hungry just like 1 hour, 2 hours later, because your blood sugars, they peaked, then they went crashing down, and now you're feeling fatigued and you need to eat again. But with the healthy ketogenic diet, then you will be able to have stable energy levels throughout the day without needing to eat every single hour to feel energy, right? Because you're gonna tap into your fat storage that are naturally there, so that if you run out of food, you can have food in form of your own fat, right? That's why you have it. If you've been told that you need to eat 6 times a day to lose weight, right? 6 little meals every single day, or you need to do a lot of exercise and just restrict your calories, then that doesn't work for weight loss. The reason it doesn't work is because if you restrict your calories, your body is naturally gonna want to eat more, because you need a certain amount of calories just to run, just to keep your cells running. And you need also more calories if you're doing extensive physical activities throughout the day. So if you're just eating less and less and less, then your body is gonna eventually crave more and more and more. You're gonna binge eat, you're gonna stray from your pattern. That's really not something you wanna do. You wanna eat as much as you want of the right foods that are gonna fill you up, right? Good fats, animal proteins, fish, vegetables, some fruits, berries, nuts, seeds, avocado oil, olive oil, good grass-fed butter. All these foods, they give you plenty of energy and they don't leave you starving 1 hour after you eat them for more, right? And they don't spike insulin as much as processed foods, sugar, all that kind of crap. So healthy keto with intermittent fasting, which is basically just fasting for 16 or more hours of the day with the eating window of 8 or less hours, will provide you with amazing results. And I'm not saying you should do them right away. I think you should do your own research. You should continue to be curious about these kind of things. But I just want to make you aware that the conventional wisdom most of the time is untrue, right? You need to do your own research. You need to think by yourself. You need to see what works, what doesn't. And as we see with our society today, with I think 30% or more people that are obese, clinically obese, 60% of the people that are clinically overweight, then I see that the conventional wisdom is flawed. By eating more fats and less carbs, you are going to decrease your insulin, right, levels throughout the day. And by doing intermittent fasting, you're gonna give your body a chance to tap into your fat reserve so that you can burn your own fat for energy instead of always relying on glucose and fructose and sugar. You can actually rely on your body's natural way of stored energy. And that should leave you with amazing results over time. Now, of course, ketogenic diets and intermittent fasting are not for everyone. Everybody's different, but they are still core principles of human physiology that we should look into before making any radical decisions. Who's benefiting from all of this, right? The grains, and now I'm not saying anything, but grains, sugar, processed foods. Who's benefiting from this? It's not you, it's not your family. So really make smart decisions about your health. Just eat what your body is meant to eat, right? Don't eat processed garbage. With all that being said, thank you so much for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next video.